Hey all, Stand Up Gaming here again with another vlog, and this is a continuation of my RAM overclock series. And here I am testing out the software from the last vlog while I'm having a pastry. For the memory testing, I'll be using this workbench right over here that already has a 240mm AIO attached to it, along with these Thermalright fans that came from this cooler. And you might be asking, why don't I just use that cooler over there? Well, this was already installed, so that was just easier. It'll also have better cooling too. To power everything, I'm going to use this old version of the SF750 in its little PSU bay over here. With these final turns, the PSU is installed. Let's open up the motherboard. Holy cow, this thing is pretty fancy. I didn't even know it came with active cooling for the NVMe. And apparently once the video card's installed, I can just press this button to release it. That's kind of neat. The built-in I/O shield is kind of cool. But I'm not sure how I feel about this integrated Wi-Fi port. I kind of like having the choice of what antenna I can use. This is the antenna that the motherboard comes with, so this aligns with this port, and then you have to have this huge thing stick out. Not the biggest fan. Instead of normal fan headers, we have these little breakout cables that go into here and then the fan here. I'm not the biggest fan of that either. With my complaints with the Wi-Fi and the fan cables, you probably think to yourself, why didn't you just research any of that? And yeah, you're right, I didn't. Maybe I should have done more research. Let's get the motherboard on the workbench. The special latching mechanism for the PCI Express slot does require a specific screw length that they provide in the box to attach to the case, or in this case, the workbench. Luckily, the three other screws are fairly conventional, but the motherboard is now in the workbench. Let's now install the new CPU, which is the 9800X3D. A new version of the 9800X3D will be out soon. Well, soon, maybe not soon. There's rumors that's delayed, but a new one will be coming out. I've never installed AM5 before, but apparently all you have to do is just take off this cover at first. Then you grab your CPU and place it in the socket. Then I guess close this latch. And it's supposed to like pop out, I think. And voila. I have to remove the stock mounting hardware to use my water block. And here's the mounting all gone. We are now ready to install the water block. Before the water block goes on, we are going to put some thermal paste on this guy. And this is the last time the CPU is going to be clean. See you later, CPU. I like to hard mount my water blocks. I don't use any spring-loaded screws. I just go by feel. I almost forgot to install these little fan adapters to power our pump, along with the two fans on the radiator. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. I suppose we can also install the RGB that's on the fans and the water block. Why not? Let's open up the RAM now. And here's our RAM. Let's snap our RAM in. Let's now connect the power cable. We can't forget about our power switch cable. We have our monitor, our keyboard, our RAM test software, all plugged in along with the power, and we should be good to go. And here goes our first boot. The RGB's not on, but the fans are definitely spinning. RGB has kicked in. Look at the pretty lights. I haven't gotten to the BIOS yet, but it looks like it started booting off the USB already, which is a good thing, I think. But I do want to go in there to make sure I can set the XMP or the Expo, whatever AMD is calling it these days. I've gone ahead and turned on Expo 1 settings, but I've also bumped up the system multiplier to 60 to see what that does. Let's find out. Setting the system memory multiplier to 60 does indeed turn into a 6000 rating. Let's go ahead and test this out. My main concern is the voltage actually. I have read online that bumping it up to 1.3 is the way to go to reach these speeds, but let's find out if it can do it in stock. The timings are still pretty high, but let's see how this goes. MemTest is now booting up, and my hope is that we don't have to fiddle with this for a few hours because the testing should take quite a while considering we are running 64 gigabytes of memory on here. The memory test is running and hopefully these errors stay at 0. I'll report back either when it finishes or if it fails. Hopefully it does not fail. I forgot to add that we are indeed seeing that the RAM is rated at 6000 now, so that's a plus. While the memory test is running, I'm going to leave it alone and let it do its thing and continue on with my video editing.
4 hours later.
So this is at least promising that it was able to pass the tests. And just as a reminder, all I did was up the speeds to 6000, but I left all the timings the same. The timings were already pretty lax to begin with, so it's not really saying that much, but it's still good to know that we at least have stability to a certain extent based on the tests. The next steps are to verify if I'm at the proper fabric link or whatever it's called, and then to also fiddle around with the timings. But that's for another day because so far, I'm pretty happy with this. It's good to know that we at least got a pass for this test. I wouldn't call this a conclusion because there's a lot more that we can do to determine if it's worth getting the really cheap RAM that's supposed to be slow and then overclocking it. What I'll do next is probably run some benchmarks to see how far away I am from normal 6000 memory. If it's close enough, I'll be happy because this is 64 gigabytes of RAM and normally a lot of people only run 16 or 32. With more RAM, the harder it is to push. So I should be happy with what I have so far. I ended up running some built-in tests and got these values. Unfortunately, I don't actually know what they mean. Maybe I'll look it up, but if you know what they mean, let me know in the comments. Thanks. Stay tuned for more, but so far, if you like what you saw today, give this a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to see any of the sneak peeks of the real projects I'm working on besides these vlogs, make sure to visit the Patreon link down below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. The timings are too damn high.